In a rapidly globalized world where distance is no longer a barrier to learning or sharing common pursuits in the educational space, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahi Mamman, recently played host to the United States Assistant Secretary of State for Education and Cultural Affairs, Lee Satterfield, and her entourage in his office at the Federal Ministry of Education, Abuja. The minister, ably supported by the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Sununu, Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Architect S.T.A. Chono, Acting Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, Dr. Chris Meyaki, top government functionaries, welcomed the United States officials with much pomp. Assistant Secretary Lee posited that her visit was largely a follow-up to the hosting of African leaders by President Joe Biden 2 years ago and the subsequent visit of Secretary of State Antony Blinken to Nigeria in demonstrating the high-level commitment of the United States towards the bilateral relationship between the most populous African nation. She unfolded a broad range of her country's public diplomacy programs pinned to expand transnational education and economic opportunities between the United States, Nigeria, and Africa in general, and also discussed a variety of issues ranging from the US-Nigeria partnership on cultural diplomacy, creative industry, and other initiatives as a way of expanding and building on the warm relationship existing between the two countries.
This is really directly in follow-up to President Biden's hosting of African leaders in Washington, D.C. in the year of 2022. And we saw more opportunity for further collaboration in education and culture. And you hopefully have recognized our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has been here twice already, as recently as January, to show our high-level support of the bilateral relationship between our two countries. And my visit is to highlight the ways where we can expand that relationship and build on that relationship, both in cultural diplomacy.
The Minister of Education, Professor Tahi Mamman, spoke on President Tinubu's passion for qualitative education and his unheeding desire for getting the education landscape rejigged in a hurry, adding that the ministry is developing a well-thought-out roadmap for the education sector that will be of immense benefit to Nigerians. He also disclosed that his ministry is focusing on integrating wide-ranging skill acquisition programs into schools' curricula right from the elementary level so that youth at various stages of their educational career could be imbued with employability skills, even if for one reason or the other they could not make it to the tertiary level.
We have a leadership in the country who is so determined to turn things around the country. He's so determined to turn things around the country. And he's very passionate about education. And he's very passionate about getting things done very quickly. And then for us, we are focusing a great deal of our time on foundational aspects of education, from pre-tertiary level, from secondary school. So we are focusing on giving them skills. Now the word for them is out of school, boys and girls.
Professor Mamman assured the visitors that the Education Ministry is open to collaboration and partnerships that would assist in tackling the myriad of challenges in the Nigerian education sector. On their part, the Executive Secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Architect Soni S.T.A. Chono, and Acting Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, Dr. Chris Meyaki, spoke on their agency's commitment to deepening collaboration on research fellowships, information and communication technology (ICT), and entrepreneurship. It is now a given that skill acquisition is a strong component of socioeconomic parameters that define a forward-looking nation. Robert Greene, the renowned American author, once said, "The future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in more creative ways." And in a way, that seems to echo the sentiments of Greene. The federal government, through the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TETFund, has disclosed that it plans to establish 24 skills and innovation centers across the country. The laudable move made known by the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Magman, when he paid a visit to Innovate Hub Abuja, is set to unleash the potentials inherent in the average Nigerian, as well as serve as an uptick in the nation's overall productivity. TETFund is currently partnering with Innovate Hub, a focal point for innovation, startup incubation, technology transfer, knowledge and skills importation, prototype development, and fabrication. The non-for-profit organization provides technical training and mentorship for Nigerian youth and academics in order to produce employable graduates, in addition to also boosting research and development. Speaking further during the visit, Professor Markman said the provision of the centers will ensure that no Nigerian is left behind, as interested individuals can take advantage of the immense opportunities provided by any of the 24 centers located in the 6 geopolitical zones across the country. He also commended TETFund and Innovate Hub for providing the plank for learners and the researchers from universities, polytechnics and colleges of education to undertake practical and impactful research.
It's our plan to provide about 24 skill centers across the country in order to provide for out of school, or even those who never went to school. The children, some dropped out, some never went to school at all, and I'm not interested in, or too old actually, to go back to formal classrooms of education. All they need is to acquire basic skills to have to be empowered and go on with their livelihood. Now, what I have seen here is a major source of inspiration. And we are going to work with the center as they are already doing with TETFund. We want to be grateful to TETFund for this relationship. This place is owned by a private person, but working closely with one of the government agencies in the education sector to supply the manpower, so the learners and the researchers from right across institutions in Nigeria, from college education, polytechnics, and universities to come here and undertake very, very practical, impactful researches that is meant to develop, bring knowledge economy, strengthen Nigeria's knowledge economy.
The minister lamented the death of off-takers, which is inhibiting the giant strides being made, and promised that the government will quicken its effort in bridging the gap between researchers and industries. In taking its unwavering commitment of harnessing the huge benefits inherent in skills acquisition further, TETFund recently inaugurated 3 ad hoc committees tasked with upscaling skills development in the country as part of its bid in strengthening the fund's intervention activities. They are Committee on Operationalization of Equipment Upgrade in Workshops and Laboratories for Universities, Polytechnics, and Colleges of Education, Technical, Committee on Assessment and Review of TETFund Centers of Excellence, and Committee on Operationalization of Skills Development, Special Intervention. Speaking at the inauguration, the Executive Secretary of TETFund, Architect Soni St. Echiono, charged committee members to seek ways of ensuring that the various skills facilities were put to effective use. The Executive Secretary noted that the promotion of skills development remains a priority area for the government to address the prevailing challenges of youth unemployment and preponderance of poverty in the society.
This event today is an initiative of the Honorable Minister of Education, Professor Maman Tahir, in fulfillment of Mr. President's mandate to leverage on all available resources available to the nation, to upskill the skills of our young men and women, both in formal and informal sectors, so that they can join the rest of us in contributing their quota to creating wealth, creating jobs, and being able to fend for themselves.
The Advisory Committee on Effective Implementation and Operationalization of Equipment Upgrade is chaired by Professor Hayward Babali. The one charged with assessing, reviewing performance and progress of the Centers of Excellence hosted in the universities is headed by Professor Oyewale Tomori. The third committee, given the mandate to advise on the modalities for operationalization on the Skills Development Special Intervention for Polytechnics, is led by Professor Idris Bugaje, the Executive Secretary of National Board for Technical Education, NBTE. The committees were tasked to submit their reports within 6 weeks from the day they were constituted. Responding, the chairman of the committees commended the fund for finding them worthy to serve and promised to deliver on their mandate to the best of their abilities.
TETFund has realized the value of skills in the development of our economy, and they are now trying to invest money into our polytechnics so that polytechnics will start churning out skills qualifications. In the past, we were limiting ourselves to national diploma and higher national diploma, but now Nigerian skills qualification will be part of the delivery of our polytechnics. But the facilities needed for skills training, the workshop equipment, the consumables, this is the major challenge. So this intervention from TETFund is going to facilitate. But it's not going to go around all the 88 public polytechnics. We have only selected 12. Every year they will select 12 until we cover all. So this is a major milestone, and we thank TETFund, we thank the Minister of Education for promoting the skills agenda.
A good chunk of our equipment in the laboratories, in the workshops, and in both in the universities, the polytechnics and colleges of education are either inoperable, that means they are not in a state that they can be operated, or that they are not in good functioning order, or they are obsolete. And at the rate that the economy of Nigeria is going, and as mandated by Mr. President, that research and development should now drive the economy of Nigeria, it is absolutely essential that our workshops, our laboratories, in all our tertiary institutions are updated. Where they need updating, they will be updated. And the category and kind of updating will need to be looked in. But first, we have to assess those laboratories and workshops to find their state, and then to see where there is a need for an upgrade and what is the nature of the upgrade. And all of these are necessary in order for the equipments in these places to be up and running to deliver the maximum impact to the Nigerian taxpayers in terms of products and services that they offer to the nation.
We are supposed to look at the Center of Resilience set up. Are they meeting the objective they were set up? How are they performing? Are there other ways in which you can improve their performance? How do we relate what they have done to the needs of the people? So that's what the committee will be looking at. And then offer advice and get better ways to do what they're doing. That's the essence of what the committee is about.
It is a known fact that the paucity of good hostel facilities is getting in the way of qualitative learning experience for students in the nation's public tertiary education landscape. As part of moves in addressing this lacuna, the federal government, through the TETFund, has found it worthy to commence the process of constructing 36 modern hostels in some tertiary institutions across the country to alleviate the plight of students due to the shortage of hostel accommodation on campuses. The Executive Secretary of Tertiary Education Trust Fund TETFund, architect Sony S.T. disclosed these at a recent meeting with the leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students (NANS), led by its president, Comrade Lucky Emonefe. The Executive Secretary said the government is willing to construct more hostel accommodations once the first sets are completed. In response to the association's call for the maintenance of TETFund projects in beneficiary institutions across the country and the construction of a NANS secretariat in Abuja, Architect Echono pointed out that there is an increased allocation for the maintenance of TETFund infrastructure over 5 years in the 2024 intervention cycle. The agency's steersman also promised to look into NAN's secretariat building request as it plans to seek the buy-in of the Ministry of Education on the matter.
I want to assure you, as parents, as leaders, that we will continue to support NANS, partner with NANS, because there is no doubt that any policy, any program, any project that you want to do in the education sector, students must be at the center of it. Institutions exist because of students. I've always said that. It is because we want those institutions to prepare our students, to impart knowledge and skills or hone skills, and to make them ready to come and contribute their quota to national development. That's why they were set up. They were not set up because of the head of the institution, not even because of the lecturers there. Those are things we call facilitators, tools. The same way we put up buildings there, that's how we hire people to come and teach. But the subject, the focus, are the students.
It is closed down the intervention agency will work out modalities to incorporate the student body in joint monitoring of projects across beneficiary institutions. The Executive Secretary also urged students to be on board its widely uploaded digital services platform for third-tier institutions, the Tertiary Education Research Applications and Services (TERAS). Doing so, he maintained, will address critical challenges faced by students, researchers, and institutions in assessing educational resources and research materials. Earlier, NAN's president, Comrade Lucky Emonefe, said the visit was to formally introduce the new leadership of the association to TETFund management, as well as work out areas of collaboration between the two bodies. Citing the increase in TETFund's 2024 budget and the new Student Loan Act signed by the president, the NAN's president applauded President Bola Tinubu for his love and commitment to upliftment of education in Nigeria.
The love of Mr. President towards the education upliftment of the citizens of Nigeria is not in doubt. And we can see numerous benefits that are embedded in the student loan to ensure that the students of the common people can have access to education. As if that is not enough, it is equally in evidence through the release of allocation to TETFund to ensure that education infrastructure are in place. So both the student having access to education and equally ensuring the education infrastructure are in place through the efforts of this noble agency called TETFund. Greatest Nigerian students. Our hard-working years, on our part as students of higher institution of learning, today's visit is important to us because we want to assure you that the Nigerian students are with you while you are striving to ensure that education infrastructures are in place to compete with other nations.
The NAN's president said students are ready to complement TETFund's effort to ensure that the various projects of TETFund are protected in all tertiary institutions. A Senate Committee member on Tertiary Institutions and TETFund representing Delta North Senatorial District, Senator Ned Nwoko, joined TETFund management to receive the NAN's leadership, even as he pledged the support of his committee to always put the crucial needs of students on the front burner, especially in the area of provision of security on campuses.
We are generally concerned about insecurity in the country. You know, insecurity is insecurity anywhere. You know, you've heard of students being kidnapped, being assaulted, being killed. It is reprehensible. It is not forgivable. But we are on top of it. We've had meetings with security chiefs, the service chiefs, and NSA, and we told them whatever money that they need from us to be able to perform their jobs better, we are more than happy to support them.
Lately, but at different intervals, three governors, namely His Excellency Alhaji Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak of Kwara State, His Excellency Diko Umaru Rada of Katsina State, and His Excellency Usman Ododo of Kogi, came calling on the executive management of TETFund to express their appreciation for the tremendous work the agency is doing in their respective states. The state chief executives who cited various contributions the fund has made over the years in supporting the promotion of institutions of higher learning in their domains also seized the moment to canvass for more assistance in varied fashions, ranging from seeking the upgrade of some institutions into universities, stepping off of security apparatuses on campuses, to providing more infrastructure and ICT support for the benefit of students and teachers.
I want to thank you for your leadership and support we have received so far in our various tertiary institutions in Kogi State. I want to appreciate the members of this institution. They have been of great and immense support to the institution, and as such, I want to promise that Kogi State will partner with the institution collaboratively to ensure that the human capital development of Mr. President's agenda under his renewed hope is achieved. I want to sincerely appreciate you for receiving us on this short notice.
In his response, the Executive Secretary, Architect Soni S.T. Chuno, thanked the chief executives for finding time to visit the fund, despite their heavy responsibilities to the people of their various states. He stated that the fund is committed to its mandate of improving the tertiary education experience in Nigeria as a way of contributing its quota to the nation's socio-economic ecosystem.
Kogi is very dear to us here in TETFund. And as you did say, it also hosts some of the very critical academic institutions that are geared towards developing the human capital of our country. I want on behalf of the management to assure you that we'll do all that is in our power. I'll also be able to tell you a few of the things we plan for 2024 as well as the years ahead.
In the words of the famed activist Malcolm X, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. TETFund, the interventionist-in-chief on tertiary education matters in Nigeria, has taken the words of the human rights fighter even further. The agency is currently investing copiously and also filling the pages of that passport to the future with relevant visas for adequate employment, skilled manpower, healthy society, self-sufficiency in food production and other living parameters, sustained investment in qualitative education, fit-for-purpose research and development among other developmental indices germane to the socio-economic advancement of Nigeria. And that all-important passport, currently being equipped with major developmental markers, is set to guarantee Nigeria a permanent prime seat at the table in the Committee of Nations in the very foreseeable future as the nation starts exporting various in-demand skill sets for the world's benefit, courtesy of TETFund.